Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Talent Talks. Today, we're talking to two incredible ladies who are a part of an organization that has become an important ingredient of our day-to-day lives. Yes, we're talking about Zoom, and as we talk from Zoom right now, I'd like to, of course, highlight the fact that we all, of course, at some level believe that great organizations are made by the people that they have. And today, what could be a better event to talk about people who make Zoom and how these two incredible ladies help Zoom as an organization recruit some of the best talents. We talk about talent, we talk about skills, and how recruitment happens in the tech industry. So, without much further ado, let's get started and talk about everything that skills and talent bring to this table today. Uh, I'd like to, of course, pass on the note to you both to introduce yourselves and the kind of work that you do so that our audience also gets an understanding, and then we can get started with our discussion soon. Rashmi, do you want to go first?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Gopi. It's a pleasure being here today. I'm happy to be talking to you and to the audience in terms of what we do at Zoom and hiring in general. So just a quick intro about myself. I head the technical recruiting for Zoom. This is for both India and Singapore, where we have tech centers and R&D centers. I come with about 16 years of experience in the recruiting space. I've, in my past, hired for product and the high-tech consulting organizations like ClearTrip and ThoughtWorks. So it's been an interesting journey so far. I've seen, from freshers to leadership hiring. So yeah, but there's everything. Every day is a new day in recruiting. So, and I've enjoyed it so far, and still doing that. So that's just a quick thing from me. Kavita, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you, Gopi. I'm happy to be part of this talent talk. I'm Kavita. I'm currently a talent partner tech at Zoom India. So me and Rashmi, we started our Zoom journey together. So it's been close to 7 months almost. I would say it's a great learning curve. It's intense. It's experimenting, but we are loving it. It's just wow.
That's amazing. What vibrant introductions already. And I'm sure that the audience is also excited to ask questions to both of you. So, audience, you can feel free to ask questions related to recruiting, how the entire talent acquisition works in tech, or for that matter, at Zoom. And we'll quickly get started with the questions that I have kind of been inquisitive about. Rashmi, if you could kind of, tell us, when you're recruiting at Zoom, and especially in tech, what are the few key skills that you look at in a candidate, and overall, where do you see skills being looked at in the tech industry?
Sure. So I'll take a step back there. And Zoom started. We announced the starting of our tech center last September, and the plan was to build out a center which is going to have teams, various different teams pertaining to, let's say, data science and engineering. Today we have a cybersecurity team. We have a team that supports business applications, a whole lot of different teams that we're setting up. So in terms of technology, it's across the spectrum. It's not that just, one kind of skill that we're looking at. To take your question, I would look at it at, various levels. If you're looking at a fresh grad, which we've very recently started doing, it wasn't actually in the plans this year, but given how the market has welcomed Zoom here in India. I think that was definitely something we wanted to do. So if we look at that, while technical skills are important, but this is their first step. So, what's more key for us is the kind of eagerness that they show to learn. What have they done, beyond just their curriculum? It could be, self-driven projects. It could be, internships that they have taken up. It could be contributions to open source. So just something that shows us that, this person is really keen on taking on a tech role. It's more of hiring for potential at this level, and not really, looking at hardcore skills from a technical perspective. But as we go up, second would be as we go slightly higher on the experience level, when we look at laterals, of course, what you've done in the past, the kind of projects you worked on, your expertise on different technologies start playing a more important role. And of course, having a passion for what you're doing. Again, as we go, slightly more senior, what becomes more important also is a business acumen. Understanding and trying to, relating business and the technology, right? So I think as we go higher up on the experience and higher up in the levels, there are different skill sets that we go after. While this is more from a technology and technical skills perspective, irrespective of the role or the level, I think in today's world where everybody's kind of remote, what has become very key is that to go after folks who are self-driven. Because unlike in an office, there's nobody behind your back or nobody to sit around you. So being self-driven, being collaborative, and what's also become more important than earlier times is to be able to communicate, and especially at Zoom, because we have such diverse talent and who are globally dispersed. The teams in India work very closely with their counterparts in the US or across APAC. So communication bit becomes very, very important. So that's irrespective of if you're a fresher or if you're a senior manager. These skills are something that have become more important over the last year or so. And lastly but most importantly for us at Zoom is finding people who align with our values. I think again, irrespective of the role, irrespective of how good you are on a technology front, if from a value and a culture perspective, if you're not there, then it's just that we won't go ahead. So I think that's what we look at broadly when we look at hiring for Zoom. In terms of how we evaluate, I think, Kavita, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, so when it comes to evaluation, we have various coding tests to evaluate technical competencies of candidates. Every interview at Zoom evaluate values and culture added to them. We try to engage the candidate and look at the person holistically. So yes, we do have those different levels of evaluation when we are interviewing at Zoom.
Got it. That's quite a bit of a perspective that you've put in front of us, Rashmi, and thank you for giving an in-depth understanding on this. And as we also speak about coding tests and more layers of hiring, and kind of making sure that quality of quality of candidates is in the center of the recruiting process. So I want to understand here, Kavita, from you, if you could kind of give a perspective as to how quality becomes the center while recruiting at scale. And how do you guys kind of formulate activities or practices that essentially, does that quality check for you?
Sure. Time to fill the position and quality has been the most common metrics in recruitment. And quality has been always our first priority while hiring. So when it comes to technical skills, we have a standardized process across the globe. We look at the assessment platforms to help out, which are data-driven and maintain the global standard there. For soft skills, so there are real-time scenarios and case studies which we look for, and but there are a couple of things which you cannot evaluate and which are not automated. So for those kind of things, yes, we go for discussion. So things like articulation and collaboration, yes, we do a face-to-face discussion for these kind of things. And then coming to values and culture fitment, this is something which cannot be automated, right? So at scale, I can obviously go back and reduce the number of interviews or the number of people candidate is talking to. But at Zoom, we have a value alignment in every level of discussion. We have value questions for at every level of discussion. A lot of companies, they do call it as a bar raiser kind of interview, right? So yes, we have that set of value questions assigned at every discussion. While tech skills, soft skills, and values are the most important aspects to ensure the quality, we have a very good handle on data, which surrounds this. And we continuously kind of try to record, monitor, and standardize, creating feedback loops to uplift the level at which we are operating. So yes, that's how we are keeping check on the quality with the scale.
That's incredible. So from what I understand with where we've kind of reached at this point of time in this conversation, is that we're essentially looking for people who are going to be great teammates, who are going to, come on board and, immediately adapt to the current circumstances in terms of, also working from home and collaborate with the rest of the team. Of course, that applies to freshers, and of course there are a few skills in terms of figuring out if this person's gonna take up new tasks, if they're proactive in terms of taking up new challenges, or even taking up responsibilities for different challenges. And it's incredible to see how you've kind of formulated practices that also do quality checks while all these all these ideas and notions are kept in mind. So thank you for sharing this with us. And I want to now know a little bit if we look at a holistic level at this point of time, and understand if there are activities and practices that have been put in place that help recruitment practices to go beyond geographic levels. We all know we're all working from home at this point of time. We've kind of somewhere gone beyond horizon in terms of recruiting, because remote work is something that's been a keyword in the last at least 1 year. So how are we kind of breaking the barrier of probably geography and socioeconomic status in recruitment, and how are we looking at hiring new talent in tech? Rashmi, do you want to go?
Sure. So I think excellent question, Gopi, and I think very relevant to the times that we live in today. If we look back, the IT industry in India is about 2.5 decades old. But until up about a year and a half, everything was so urban centric, right? It was so concentrated on just these, 5 to 8 cities across India where, all the IT companies are set up, and then, everybody kind of migrates to these places from all over. Just to think back at it, I would say, about 60 to 70% of our talent actually comes from these tier 2, tier 3 cities. And maybe not necessarily from an educational background or a college degree that most of the industry aspires to hire from, right? So I think this, the past 1 year has given everybody that opportunity to, it's more a level playing field in terms of, it doesn't matter where you're sitting, as long as you probably have a good internet connection. That's where I'm hoping that the industry really picks up from here on, to really look at, breaking boundaries from a geographical as well as, move towards a more skill-focused hiring. I remember a time when we would ask the candidate, okay, where are you located, and where are you based? I hope soon we don't have to have those conversations. But yes, I think it's paved the way for a transformation like no other. And of course, with platforms like Zoom, where you can collaborate so well, I'm sure that's just going to add up. And even with programs like what Newton School does, I'm sure you'll be able to get us or get the industry the kind of skills that we probably wouldn't have had the reach earlier. So I think we're all heading in the direction of being, I don't know, location agnostic. But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for the industry to look beyond just these cities and look at talent from a more skills perspective. Yeah, I think that's where we're headed.
That's quite incredible. I think probably 1 year back we were all talking about adapting to the new normal, and we probably have not realized, but we've already adapted to the new normal
Yes.
now.
Yes.
For that matter, I think this is an entire other discussion to think of. Oh my God, we used to do things like that. We used to ask
Yeah,
things
so it's like a pre-COVID and a post-COVID era,
Totally. Kavita, would you like to add anything in terms of how we're kind of, going beyond geographical locations and how we're kind of breaking that barrier? Kavita, can you hear us?
Yes, yes, Gopi, I'm here.
Yep. So if you could, would you want to kind of add anything to how we're going beyond geographical locations? How are we breaking that geographical barrier when it comes to talent acquisition?
Okay, I think this is the interesting one. When it comes to geographical barriers, we have standardized the process here at Zoom. So time to fill so we have assessment platform to help out the team here. So we do take help of coding platforms here, where we have data driven and to maintain the global standard here. And for soft skills, the real-time scenarios, case studies, this is what we go for. And we also have a psychometric test, which goes for the other evaluation part. Coming to the values and culture fitment side, I think we already spoke about that. We have a separate value alignment to every discussion. And this is a standardized process at the entire Zoom globally.
Got it. Cool. Thanks for that insight, Kavita. Now, I want to kind of also there's this one more keyword that a lot of people have been talking about, and that is skill economy. And so do you think there's a shift in talent acquisition, and we're kind of moving towards a skill economy more when it comes to recruiting, hiring freshers, and how are we kind of doing that? How are we making that shift?
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic, and I was reading this a few days ago, and it's nice that you bring it up. But I was reading this report by the World Economic Forum, which said that I think about 1/3 of a billion jobs are going to get affected or transformed by technology in the next decade or so. Imagine, even if it's a waiter, if you would take an example today, they take orders using a pen and a paper. Tomorrow, it could be a tab that's, kind of linked to the kitchen, which is again linked to, the supply chain and inventory. So, it's transforming everyday jobs, right? So that it needs a whole lot of, that's just one example, but I'm sure it's going to touch upon a whole lot of existing jobs and create a whole lot of new jobs as well, right? So, if you look at the next medium-term hiring, what the industry is predicting is things around, data science, because everybody today wants to make data-driven decisions, not just off the fly. They want to look at data, and that's something that everybody is building up on. Looking at AI, looking at ML, looking at with everybody being remote, trying to move things onto the cloud. So cloud technologies, what used to be on premise earlier, everything moving on towards a cloud-based setup. So, I think these are kind of the skills that are what the world's going to build in the next, medium term. In fact, the report that I was reading also termed this as like the fourth industrial revolution. We've come far from the Stone Age to, we moved to a farming kind of a thing. We went through an industrial revolution. Now it's like the fourth one, which is going to bring in a whole lot of difference to the world. And I think the report also says that there aren't enough folks who come with a a technical degree or a degree in computer science, and we are going to be short of supply. So we have to start looking beyond embracing, like you mentioned earlier, hiring for skills, and I think that's the way that recruiting needs to move towards as well.
True. That makes total sense to me at this point of time. Kavita, would you like to add anything?
Yes. So I think even the mode of hiring today, with a number of companies not insisting on physical presence at office, and remote is a new norm, right? Companies are willing to hire from the different locations, from different parts of world. So I think this is one of the significant evaluation in just a couple of months, right? So I still remember there used to be a whiteboard and whiteboard, and people used to come back to office, and there were kind of aptitude test and all kind of things, right? But with this new normal and the market, which by this video conferencing mode and all, I think this is really important to set up a different board of hiring. Yes.
It's also going to be interesting to see how, hopefully soon when the pandemic ends, how are we
Yes.
going to adapt to that new normal?
Yeah.
Uh, cool. I think it's been an incredible conversation in terms of talent acquisition and how skills are becoming so important when it comes to
some very
even
interesting
discussing.
topics you touched upon,
Yeah.
Gopi. I didn't quite expect that, but yeah, it's been interesting, this
Awesome.
discussion.
Thank you for that. But when I was kind of coming live, a few students sent me messages saying, you're going to talk to people from Zoom. I want to know, uh, how holistically all students who are new, who are freshers, they're going to they're going to take their first step in the tech industry, and they're excited but also a little nervous. What advice essentially would you give to them?
Right.
That could help them also see a certain direction in terms of how they could make their own space in tech. Rashmi, do you want to go there?
Sure. So, I think earlier, when we think of fresher hiring, it's usually large scale. You have these aptitude tests, and then you have, all your personal interviews. I think that whole space has gone, undergone a huge transformation in the last 1 year. It's been very different hiring freshers in the past 1 year or so. While I think a lot of companies still look at the academic excellence, or what sort of tech skills they would come with. I think there's an equal emphasis on soft skills, especially because, in this whole remote world, it becomes very key that you're able to have the interpersonal skills, have the, ability to work with a team it's very different when you're talking to somebody on a video versus if you're sitting next to them. So being able to adapt to that new norm, and being able to collaborate in that kind of an environment, I think that's what has gained a lot more significance in the last 1 year. And of course, something at Zoom that we do is, we look for a passion for what they're doing. So, be it a fresher, be it a lateral, it's very important that you are happy doing what, you're set to do. So for me, that could be if I was a developer, that I've dedicated some time outside of my curriculum to learn something new. Today there are multiple sites where you can go, and it can be anything. I'm interested in robotics. I might have gone and done a course on Udemy in robotics, but that is showing, for me as a recruiter, that's showing me that you are interested in being in the technical space. You are keen to learn beyond what you have learned in your curriculum. You've taken that extra effort to display that interest and passion. So I think a lot of companies look for that beyond just and today there's so many things available online, right? You want to do a contribution to open source. People have their own GitHub accounts where they have their projects. So it's really interesting to see the kind of things that freshers come up with today, and really passionate about what they want to get into. I remember when I probably hired freshers 10 years ago, we just went by, okay, what is, what's their score through the engineering, let's shortlist, and, those kind of things. And I don't think anybody does that anymore. Today, you look at, okay, where has this person interned? What sort of projects has he worked on? What kind of courses has he taken up? What's his interest, rather than, what's the GPA, and, let's figure out from that. I think, there are students who take up all kinds of coding, mastery across different coding sites. And it's really interesting to see the kind of things that, they're exposed to today, much beyond what they learn in college. So, yeah. Anything that you would like to add on, Kavita?
Yes. So I agree with Rashmi. I think companies today like to see not only just academic excellence, but also on soft skills, value system, learnability, their designing and thinking way, their proactiveness. In fact, this is more important as we all move to remote. It is very essential even than before to ensure the employer's value system matches to the organization. Okay, even we can take one thing, let's take one thing at a time, right? So let's focus only on the core subjects. For example, for a CS graduates, right? They may be, they can be algorithms, data structure, their kind of problem solving skills, right? Which they can work on and choose their strength, maybe C++ or maybe Java, right? Learn about the companies before coming for the interviews. They should go back, learn about the opportunity, what they are applying for, understand the business needs, understand the kind of problem the business is trying to solve. I think they should not jot down all the questions before sitting in the interview table, right? Talk about proactiveness, learnability, showcase their open source projects, their own projects, what they are interested on. So yeah, I think this can be a good advice for that.
I think she got up a very big, important point that research the company that you're applying to. That shows that you're interested, that you're keen to join, that you've done your homework on the role, the company, what does the company actually what kind of products do they have, what are they, what is the industry space. I understand, you might not really get a lot of information on the website or, but whatever extent you can, do that bit of research and understand what you're getting into. I think, Gopi, today, freshers are really, really smart. They know very clearly what they want to get into. I've heard them say, no, I don't want this role. This is what I'm looking for. So specific. Would just take up any job that would probably come my way. But, today people are really specific, saying, no, this is a data science is what I want to get into. I'm going to go after doing this course and I'm going to go look for data science opportunities. So I think, this generation is very, very smart. So my advice would be, while you look at your core skills, also look at, do a bit of research on the opportunity, on the company before they would apply.
Right. These are some incredible insights in terms of how, it kind of again boils down to how you're also adapting to as a candidate, how you're adapting to new things. That is something that is going to be very important as for you to kind of develop. I think it's a skill that you also hone in terms of course, collaboration and communication. And of course, when it comes to honing your technical skills, I've seen so many of our students go out of their way to create new projects, to create kind of be present on GitHub, create new radical ideas, and then kind of think of how do you solve a certain problem. For that matter, are superbly involved in competitive programming, and that is something that kind of also brings about a new perspective in terms of adapting to logical thinking. So I really like how I think the crux of the entire conversation and even the advice that you guys have kind of given for freshers kind of boils down to, again, skill and uh, grow in terms of how you can become a better teammate for the organization. It's been incredible talking to you guys today, and I have driven a lot of insight. I'm sure that the students, of course, have, and it's nice to see that we're now talking about all these issues, probably geographic locations, going beyond them. We're talking about skill economy, and it's great to see that organizations like yours and amazing women like you are talking about these issues more often now. Thank you so much for taking out your time and joining us in this conversation. It was great talking to both of you.
Sure. Thank you, Gopi. We've had a good time being here. Thank you for having us on today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Gopi.
much.